So Hope, I think that I didn't hit the button correctly. So yeah. So okay, so hold on. We're gonna get we're checking with Kennedy right now. Hey
Alrighty.
Kennedy, are we live now? Now we're live.
Yay!
Hey, welcome everybody.
we're only about 3 minutes in. It's all right.
Here, can anybody rewind? I don't know. Like Hope and I, we've been having a great old time here. So yeah, that's awesome. Well, welcome everybody. So glad that y'all are here. All right, Hope, we're gonna have to redo that. Let's go back. Hello, welcome.
Hi.
Our guest chef today on Quarantine Cooking, and we are so glad that she's with us today. Hope, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. So I am Hope Wheeler, and I'm a freshman at Fort Zumwalt North High, and I've been going to EY for about 4 years, and I really like to bake.
Yay! Awesome. All right, so we've already chatted about this, but we're gonna tell the viewers, what are we cooking today?
I am making oatmeal raisin cookies for my friend Jordan and my dad. We're gonna be making a batch with pecans for Jordan, but my dad's actually allergic, so there's also been a batch made without pecans, so you can do either or.
But so kind of you. And so far, what did we do? We missed a step, so we're gonna have to explain to them what step did we miss.
So I just took a rimmed baking tray and I lined it with parchment paper, and I took a cup of rolled oats and I put them on the tray, and then I, with washed hands, smoothed them out, put them as thinly as I could, and then there is a 425-degree oven over there. I put them in for about 6 minutes. They have about 2 minutes left, and they're gonna toast for 6 minutes. And then I took a cup of pecans and I roughly chopped them using this cool little device. So,
which was really cool. Can you show them how you use that? Because I thought that was pretty nifty. So okay. Just chop a little extra.
There's some bigger pieces right here, but I just took this and I scoop some here. Got it all under. Whoops. And then you just press that down and it chops it up.
So, look at that technique. That was amazing.
Finer.
All right. So now that we got everybody back on board with us, so let's go to our next step. So just real quick. So we're going to take the oats and we're going to toast them in the oven for 6 minutes at 425. Chop up some pecans. All right. What's next?
All right. So then we, medium-sized bowl, take our flour, salt, baking soda, cinnamon, and nutmeg. And we're gonna.
And earlier, I tried to ask Hope. There's all these ingredients, and I was like, "Why can't you just throw it all in a bowl, mix it up, and pop it in the oven?" And she says it takes a lot more than that.
Yeah. I think I said I wish it was that easy. Okay, so for this, it's about a cup of flour, and something you don't want to do when you're baking is packing your flour. So it takes a little bit more time, but what I do is I use a spoon and I spoon it into the cup, and then I level it off with the handle of the spoon. So.
Oh. So you do not pack the flour.
That is a baking no-no.
Ah.
So I have a giant tub of flour right here, which is actually almost empty. I need to refill it, but fill it up like, oh, I'm just throwing flour everywhere. Then I flip it around, I use the spoon, and I just level it off very lightly. Oh, okay, the oats are done. So I'm just going to toss that in the bowl and then pull out the oats.
I'll see you in just a second.
So they're gonna be like really, those brown very fast. Okay, so I think my oven might have been a little warm to begin with, so these are like a little darker than I wanted, but what I'm gonna do is, I should probably get something so I don't burn my countertop. So I'm gonna set this down on the counter.
Kennedy said, "You're not baking right if you're not making a mess." So
yeah.
I think that was for the flour earlier.
I'm doing really well then because it's everywhere. I'm going to put the pecans in the tray with the oats and then probably going to burn my hands. I recommend letting it rest for a minute to let the oats cool down, but I'm going to spread out the pecans a little bit to evenly mix them in with the oats. And then normally you'd bake this for another 6 minutes, but I have already been using my oven and it's gotten a bit too hot and these burned a little bit too much. So I'm just going to check on them and probably not go for the full 6 minutes. I'm probably going to put them in for 3 and then see how they are. But should be another 6 minutes.
Oh, okay.
You want to rotate it around because the back of the oven is hotter than the front. So you don't want it to bake unevenly. So it was in this way. So I'm just going to flip it around when I put it back in.
Oh, good tip.
And I'm going to put that on for 3 minutes. All right, so back to the flour and stuff. So then I've got a teaspoon of kosher salt. Kosher salt's a bit bigger than other fine salts, so it is, you can taste it a bit more when you're baking. I'm sure there's another reason, but that's why I normally use kosher salt.
Oh, because you can taste it more?
Yes.
Is that what you said? Oh, sure.
The salt grains are like a little bit bigger than like normal sea salt, which is kind of like the size of sand. They're kind of more, they're bigger. And so I like them a lot more when baking. Then let me see, I've got my recipe pulled up here. Half a teaspoon of baking soda, not baking powder.
What's the difference between baking powder and baking soda? Do you know?
I remember looking into this a little bit. It's about how acidic it is, and I forgot which one is which. I believe that baking soda is more acidic and baking powder has another purpose, but
Okay.
they look really similar and they sound really similar, which is kind of like asking for trouble. But it's the difference is important. I can't go full science on it because I kind of forgot. It's been a while, but
sure. But you know that there's a difference.
There is a difference. I can say that much with confidence. Then
I absolutely love your teaspoon. Like, is that Pampered Chef also?
Oh, I'm not really sure where I got.
It's nifty.
But yeah, it has a ton of different measurements. So, here.
Is that cinnamon?
Yes, that is a half teaspoon of cinnamon. But I really like this one because you can adjust it, and that means less dishwashing. So,
Nice.
then it's 1/8 of a teaspoon of nutmeg, but 1/8 of a teaspoon is really tiny, and I kind of don't think it's worth measuring. So what I do is I just kind of sprinkle it in. Nutmeg is super like strong though compared to cinnamon, so you don't. It's better, honestly, in my opinion. I would rather, normally this wouldn't be the case for flavor in my opinion, but I would rather have too little nutmeg than too much because you'll have nutmeg cookies like really quickly. You don't be careful. So
yes,
yeah.
Kennedy just said to be careful. Do you know what she struggles with?
What's that?
She struggles with salt when baking. She puts 2 cups of salt in with baking and a cake instead of sugar.
Oh, okay. Less of a misjudgment than a misread. Yikes!
Yes.
Oh, no. Oh, that's rough.
Oh, we love Kennedy.
Okay, here my oven just went off. I'm gonna check it. Yeah, my oats. I would like my pecans to go a little bit longer, but my oats are getting a little too dark. So I'm just gonna take it. I'd rather not burn the oats and have nicely cooked pecans. I'd rather. So I just took it off and set it on top of my stove, and I'm gonna let it cool off for a little bit because I really don't want to burn myself. So,
all right.
This mixture I just whisked it together using this incredibly small whisk. And I'm just gonna set it aside for now. I'll eventually.
I love those itty bitty whisks. Aren't those so cute?
They're great for like when you're using barely any mixture. So eventually I'm gonna put the oats and pecans in there, but then again, I'm just gonna pull down.
Is it important to keep your dry ingredients together or something like that?
Yes. So with the sugar's the exception, even though you normally call sugar dry, sugar counts as a wet ingredient, but from then on you can kind of tell what's wet, what's dry. Yeah, it's the order in which you add your ingredients is really important, which I didn't really think, but I remember one time I added my flour mixture to my butter and sugar mixture when making chocolate chip cookies, and I completely forgot to add the egg until afterward. And I didn't think it would be an issue, but it's
Uh-huh.
like it's the way it mixes in, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a lot
It does.
harder. It's a lot harder to beat an egg into a really dry and crumbly mixture than it is
Yeah.
to a wet mixture. So it's
So
about
true.
how it incorporates, not necessarily like what's in it, if that makes any sense. So
Yeah, that's good. Because, technically all these years, I never really knew sugar was a wet ingredient, but I did know that it was important to add sugar at a certain point in your direction. So that makes sense. That's yeah. Thanks, Hope.
some recipes will call for adding your sugar with your dry ingredients, but those are like kind of the exception scenarios. So reading through an entire recipe before you bake it is really important for that reason. So what I'm doing is I'm adding a stick and a half of room temperature butter. That's getting all over my fingers. And then we're gonna cream together the butter and the sugar. So I'm gonna have to wash my hands after this. I can't handle having butter hands. So let me wash off my hands real quick.
All right, we'll give a couple of shout outs in the chat. Let's see, we got Jordan Holland joined us. Hi, Jordan. Emily A is on. Christine Holland. Of course, Pastor Jeff is here. And our wonderful Kennedy Wagner and Bree made it on.
Hey.
So hi, everybody. So good to see you. Oh, here's Kennedy's, her next one. I forgot to add the milk in my queso as I was melting the shredded cheese in a crock pot. It didn't turn out well. It definitely matters the order in which you mix stuff.
Yeah. Right. Order is kind of something you learn the hard way. All right. Yeah. So this recipe, I really like it because it uses more brown sugar than white sugar, and brown sugar has molasses in it, which I really like molasses.
So when we were cooking with Brian, you made a comment about that. He had said something about, what was it? He said, I'm just gonna double up the brown sugar or something. So tell me a little bit about that.
He made me a little bit anxious because he said he was adding more light brown sugar, which is fine, altering the amount of sugar in a recipe. But I misunderstood, and I thought he just added a ton of sugar and didn't take out any white sugar, which would have made his cookies really, really, really dry. And I got very nervous, but it turned out okay.
Yeah. Yes, that's so good. That's funny. But you sound so well, like your baking skills. I mean, I am amazed at it. So you're doing a great job. Bowden joined us. So hey, Bowden, good to see you. Now you're packing the brown sugar. So you don't pack the flour, but you do pack the brown sugar?
Yes. So this one, I can't tell. With the flour, you want to keep it lighter because there's more. You want more air in your flour. You want more air in your flour when you're making things like cookies or cakes, which are supposed to be fluffier. And like the reason you sift your flour for cakes is because cakes are supposed to be like super fluffy and light.
Okay.
Cakes that are supposed to be more dense, you want to that's when I would never suggest packing in your flour, but that's when you'd be a little less cautious about it. Like brownies aren't supposed to be really like cakey unless you're a cakey brownie person. Normally they're like really thick and fudgy, and so that's where it doesn't really matter as much. I do not have not looked into why you pack in your light brown sugar, but it's a thing.
Yeah. And Kennedy just wants to get reminded, we are making homemade oatmeal raisin pecan cookies, right?
Yes, we are. All right. Oh, I was hoping I would have enough brown sugar in this bag, but I don't think I'm going to. So I'm gonna have to grab my other bag from the pantry. when I was testing out this batch of cookies, I ran out of oats, and it was earlier today, and I had to ask my dad to quickly run to the store to grab some oats, so I had enough for this batch. And the good thing I asked him to grab brown sugar as well. So.
Aw, thanks, Dad, Brian. We appreciate you.
My dad's the MVP.
Yes, he is. So very much.
Got another bag of light brown sugar. Cut that open cautiously because it's very full. Okay.
Yes, very good. Very good.
I'm very worried that it's just gonna tip and fall everywhere. Okay. All right, let's see how much we can get in this one.
And how much brown sugar are you putting in there?
I added 1/4 of a cup of white sugar, and this is 3/4 of a cup of brown sugar.
Okay.
And some people like to use a spoon, but I find it easier to just use your palm and the edge of the bag and just flatten.
Okay. Yeah. So would this be considered your favorite cookie?
It is not. I'm actually not a really big oatmeal raisin cookie fan. I'm baking these by request. I do like these ones, but I have my favorite cookie is my chocolate chip cookie recipe. And I didn't want to do that because Brian's already done one. But and also again, this was a request. But
that's right, because your friend Jordan and
Jordan,
yes, Jordan Wright. This is one of her favorite cookies.
She's actually never had my oatmeal raisin cookies.
Ooh.
She said her favorite. I don't know if oatmeal raisin cookies are her favorite, but I know she really likes them. And she said, I believe she said her favorite are the ones from church. So I kind of, she kind of challenged me, or I kind of challenged myself to bake a better.
Very nice.
So I don't know.
I like
the ones from church, so I can't really judge. But they're probably
that's awesome.
They're gonna.
All right, Abby Holland is joining us. Hi, Abby. Good to see you.
Okay, whatever.
So I thought maybe we could do some jokes because, you know, like Brian's always cracking jokes during his quarantine cooking. So I thought us girls would have some fun. So what do you get when you use a deer-shaped cookie cutter?
Wait, say that one more time.
What do you get when you use a deer-shaped cookie cutter?
I'm kind of afraid to ask. What do you get when you use a deer-shaped
cookie dough?
I think we should leave the jokes to Brian.
Oh man. Okay.
That was so stupid.
Oh. Now what are you doing?
What I did, I just took this rubber spatula and I broke up the butter in here because I find it easier to cream the butter when it's broken up into pieces. It doesn't get as stuck. So I have a KitchenAid mixer. And I prefer KitchenAid mixers because they have a stir option. So I don't have to take out the bowl, or I don't have to use my hands to stir things. And they also have different attachments. You can use a hand mixer. I just think that's a lot easier. So if you don't have it, it's perfectly fine. When I cream together butter and sugar, the reason you do that is to incorporate more air, so it makes it fluffier. And whisk has a lot more. The whisk is a lot more open than a normal beater, and so I like to use that to cream together butter and sugar.
Nice.
Does the job more nicely, in my opinion.
Pastor Jeff liked our joke, but he has one. He said, "What keeps a sheep up at night?"
What keeps a sheep up at night?
Now we're on delay, so we have to wait.
I know.
Go ahead and start that, and hopefully he'll give us the answer. No one's saying anything in the chat.
I'm gonna beat this on medium, so about like a 6.
Okay.
Or a 4. Probably a 4. I'm afraid it's gonna fly everywhere.
Okay. Definitely love the KitchenAid mixer.
Is this
no.
Okay.
Nope. A Velcro fence. What keeps a sheep up at night? A Velcro fence.
You're losing me.
Oh, that's awesome.
So what'll happen? All right. It ends up kind of forming a paste almost, which I'll take it off and show. I'm gonna
Okay.
scoop this off of the whisk a little bit and back into the bowl. But what it does is I'm hoping that this doesn't fall. Yeah, it kind of forms like a sort of paste around the edges of the bowl. And
Okay.
what'll happen is the butter will get shoved up against the sides and then it'll be covered by the sugar. So when I pull this off of the sides, there's some butter that hasn't been incorporated and there's kind of a wall. So what I like to do about halfway through is I just scrape it down. And so all of the butter and sugar get evenly mixed. Scared they're just gonna shit all over the counter. Just put a dot of sugar on my mixer. It's great. Just need it.
All right. So, Hope, why couldn't the Cookie Monster make his bed?
Why? Why not?
He couldn't find a cookie sheet. Oh, okay, wait, hold on. Pastor Jeff's got one for you. When do bakers share their secrets?
When?
When it's knead to dough. Oh, we crack ourselves up.
Anyway, as that's going, I'm gonna take a room temperature egg and crack it on a flat surface. A lot of people crack it on the sides of the bowl, which if you're really gutsy, you can do that. But I suggest cracking it on a flat surface because there's a membrane on the inside of the egg. And when you crack it on the side, basically you get a lot sharper edges and it's easier to break the yolk and more chance of a mess. So
okay.
I suggest cracking on a flat surface. And it's also higher chance of getting eggshell in. So.
Oh, okay.
I think that's about good. I'm gonna wash off my hands again because I don't like egg cans either.
Me neither. I know. That's me too. I'm like, ugh.
Then I'm going to take my vanilla extract and my maple syrup. And I like adding them in the same bowl with the egg because it's a lot easier than adding them separately, in my opinion. It's a lot faster. So,
okay.
And I always suggest cracking an egg into a separate bowl before you put it in there because it's a lot easier if you do get eggshell to get it out of here than it is to get it out of the sugar and the butter.
So good. Lessons of life right there.
So there will be 2 tablespoons of maple syrup. And I put my teaspoon over there because I forgot when I needed it. So I'm gonna wash the nutmeg out of my teaspoon at the sink over there, and then I'm going to add
all right. Bowden does not like our jokes.
He doesn't?
And let's see. Christine thought they were funny. She's got 3 roly faces. Does that mean it's really funny?
I'm not sure. There'll be 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract.
I love the smell of vanilla extract. So good.
My favorite thing. I was very, very tempted to try it when I was younger, and I'm so glad my mom loves me because she stopped a tragedy.
That's awesome.
All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn this on again, and as it's going, I'm gonna drop in the egg, maple syrup, and vanilla extract.
Awesome, okay.
actually, what I'm gonna do beforehand is I'm going to again scrape down the sides because I find that when I put the egg in, the middle gets like really wet and like slushy like, and then the edges stay completely dry. So
again, the importance of making sure that it all incorporates.
yes, very much so, because I don't know about you, but I don't want random patches of like all butter in one part of my cookie and all sugar
Right.
in another part. So
Yeah. True.
all right, I'm gonna turn that on again. I have a paper towel over there, so I'm not just putting the spatula. I don't know if anyone's gonna see me like that.
Nobody said anything. Nope.
So I just poured that in, and I'm gonna let that go until it's just about combined, because you don't want to over whip your egg here, because when you whip egg whites too much, they'll form a meringue, which is not what we want. So that's about combined. So it'll also mix in more when we add the other things. So I'm gonna bring this back, and my oats and my pecans have cooled down by now. So I'm going to very carefully try not to spill them. Okay. Try not to spill them everywhere. Pick up the parchment paper.
Ooh, talent right there.
And then I'm going to whisk them together. Again, with the baby whisk. Do we have any more jokes?
Yes, actually, Pastor Jeff said, "Why did the carpenter cross the road?"
Why is that? Are we moving on from baking jokes?
I guess. You said to get to the other siding.
I
don't know about that one.
These up, or if they're just coming out of his head.
I don't know. All right, so my next one is, what's the best kind of cookie to hand out on Halloween?
Wait, which one? What type?
Ghoul Scout cookies. Oh my goodness, this is awesome.
Okay.
Now, are those just regular raisins, or do you like, or a specific kind that you like to use?
I am not picky about raisins. These are Walmart brand Great Value raisins.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, I like using raisins because I'm actually one of the people who likes raisins. But if you're a raisin hater, you can use like other small dried fruits, like dried cranberries or dried cherries.
Ooh, yum.
So we're fine. But again, I'm a raisin person, so this is.
I love the dried cherries. Like, oh, those are so delicious.
I am just measuring out. They're kind of all clumped together, so I think I'm going to use.
So when we get back to service, are you going to bring these for me? Because, you know, sitting here watching you bake these and knowing that I don't get any, I'm a little sad.
You know what? I'm willing. I bet my mom will be 100% willing to get these out of the house. So I might bring you a couple. How's that?
Awesome. I'm just not allowed to hug.
Oh, that's perfectly okay. I have a little baking delivery list for my friends and family. So when they want something, they'll text me and say, "Hey, could you bring over some of this?" And I'll put it on my list. So
Aw, you are so kind, Hope.
This is one of the things on my list. We have cake pans. So what I do is I just bake them, and then I don't give myself a deadline. So it's kind of a surprise as to when they'll show up. But basically, I'll just walk up to the doorstep, put the cake pan on the door, get in the car, send them a text with something like really vague, like knock, knock, and then just drive away.
Aw, that's so fun.
Kind of like Santa Claus, but baking. You never see me.
Baking Claus. Yay, Hope the Baking Claus.
So that was a cup of raisins. And then I'm just going to mix those in to that mixture with the oats, flour, pecans, all that. And then we are almost done. if you don't mind using a whisk attachment, or if you have a hand mixer. Okay, so if you're using a hand mixer and don't have a KitchenAid, I wouldn't use the mixer. I wouldn't use the whisk attachment. I would use like this spatula. I am going to actually pull off the whisk attachment. I actually think
Christine just told you you're so sweet also. That was a sweet that you do that.
I don't think I incorporated that enough because the mixture looks a bit too wet. So I'm gonna let that go for just a second longer.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna scrape down the sides actually, and then I'm going to pull it all together. But so I'm going to, I don't really mind hand washing all that much. So I'm going to switch out my attachment. So I'm gonna say goodbye to the whisk, and then
Bye, Whisk. See you next year.
I'm gonna pull out a normal beater, and I'm just gonna stir it because this is the part where you really don't want to overmix, because flour develops gluten really quickly. So the more you beat flour, the more gluten develops, and gluten makes things really chewy. So like when you're making bread, the reason that you need like pizza dough, the reason that they need pizza dough is because it's supposed to be tougher. So they're developing the gluten. Cookies are the complete opposite. You don't want a super tough cookie, which is, I think, where it comes from.
Yeah,
so,
exactly, yeah.
That's why I only put it to the stir option, and I just put it on stir, and what I do is I just shake it in. What ends up happening a lot is that this will get too wide and it'll go off on the other side of the bowl. So I rotate it to keep like the narrow side going. It's kind of hard to explain, and I don't know how well I can show it, but basically I'm just gonna sit there and rotate the bowl and shake it in.
Awesome. All right, that sounds great. So anybody new in the chat that we've missed? Let's see, I think that we've called out everybody. How are we doing in the chat? Is everybody getting hungry? Or can you smell the cinnamon and the raisins and the nutmeg? I can.
I still managed to get some flour on the other side of the bowl. And then I'm just gonna stop it as soon as I can't see any more white from the flour, which really doesn't take that long. So again, using the beater attachment is kind of unnecessary because that's literally what all we're gonna do with it. But I prefer using that to folding it in with my hands because I think it goes a little bit, I think it incorporates a bit more nicely.
Let's see, what does that look like?
Okay, so I actually just hit the beater, so there is a bit of white in there, but it looks like that. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the spatula and I'm just gonna fold through it a little bit to make sure that there's no more white from the flour anywhere, not just on the top, but throughout the whole thing. And I'm gonna do that as little as possible because again, I don't really want to touch the flour that much. And then that is it for like dough preparation. And I've got
awesome. And then what do you do with that?
So what you do here is you let the dough rest for an hour on the counter, room temperature, undisturbed. I'm not gonna sit here for an hour and wait for it. So I'm gonna set that to the side.
And the magic of TV happens.
Bring out this one, which has been sitting for an hour. So this one that I'm using right now is one for my dad, which does not have pecans. So like I said at the beginning, I don't know if I said it in this one or the false start we had earlier, but you can, my dad's allergic to pecans, but if you just don't like pecans, even though you can't really taste them in the cookies, if you just rather not have them, you can completely omit the pecans.
Ah, okay, gotcha. I'm so glad that you're saving your dad's life. Kennedy said that she said she even uses fancy baking terms like fold, go, hope.
It's something I just realized. I used the wrong amount of oats in this batch. I'm reading the recipe now. At the beginning, it's in the very beginning when I was toasting them, it's supposed to be 2 cups of oats, not one.
That's okay. They didn't know that. Remember, we missed that, so it's okay.
Oh, I think I said anyway. So this This is Jordan's batch, and I hope if it doesn't turn out well, I'll make her another one. If it's still okay without the half cup of oat or without the cup of oats, I'll make another one. But it's okay because these are the ones we're baking. So
That's it. That's it. They're going to be delicious no matter what because they were made with the love and kindness of hope.
oh, yes, they were. Okay. So I am a really big perfectionist. So I actually have a scale. So
Shut up. Are you serious? That is awesome.
if you have a 2-ounce cookie scoop, go ahead and use that. I only have a 1 ounce. So I just take my scale and I weigh each bowl of dough.
Oh my goodness.
Because I'm like that. Again, with washed hands, I just washed them over there. Put dough
Put your
on the
cookies too?
scale. I will show. And then it says, all right, so I'm just gonna make sure it says 2 ounces. And I'm gonna rotate this because I can't really see it. That says 2. And then what I'm gonna do, I don't think you need to see that every single time. So I just take it and I roll it in between my palms until it comes all together. And then I like to kind of shape it a little bit more with my palms. And then these are kind of bigger cookie dough balls. And so I only put 6 on a baking sheet. It's better to have it's better to have more times in and out of the oven and less balls on the sheet than it is to like overcrowd it and have one giant fused cookie because they all spread out into one.
True. Yes,
So
that's right.
I go small and I just put 6. This batch makes about 18 plus like a little bit more cookies. And so this will be about 3 times in and out, which again, not going to sit through all of that, but I'm just going to roll out 6 right now for this one sheet. And then
Awesome. I got one last joke for you.
One last joke.
What do you call it when 2 cookies from the same sheet fall in love?
What's it called?
A batch made in heaven.
Okay, I kind of like that one. That one was kind of cute. So I completely forgot to preheat my oven for these cookies. So I suggest I suggest a little bit of time before you start rolling them out when it's still resting on the counter. Preheat your oven to 350.
350. Okay.
Let me preheat that real quick. Alrighty. Okay, I'm gonna keep rolling. This is the calmer part. I'm not stressing out about forgetting things, which I did.
That's okay. No one is perfect. That's the good thing about serving our perfect God. We don't have to be perfect because He is.
Indeed. All right.
Did you watch the devotional today?
I was baking during the devotional, so
that is right.
Right after this. I was prepping this little batch of dough because I wanted it to rest for an hour exactly. So I plan on watching it right after this. But I peeked at Slack. I'm not sure if it was today's or yesterday's episode, but I think you said something of episode devotional. But you can call it an episode, right?
Yes, you can. Sure. Yep.
But I remember you commenting on it.
Yes, exactly. It is a very good one. So if anybody missed it, you need to go back and watch it because it was really good.
Do it right after this.
Getting a dose. Did you spoil your mama for Mother's Day?
Yes, I did. My mom really likes sugar cookies. So I stayed up really late. I think it was about 2 a.m. so she wouldn't know. I stayed up really late and baked her sugar cookies like as she was asleep. So she woke up to a tray of sugar cookies.
Oh, that's so awesome.
And then we brought them
I love it because her and I are Facebook friends. Well, we're friends, period. But she always like posts like these little awesome like little lunches and breakfasts that you make her, and I'm just like, oh, those are awesome.
Yeah, whenever about my spring break started, which was the week before quarantine started, I got really into cooking and baking because I was at home. And then as quarantine continued, I'm like, well, I might as well keep doing it. But I found out that when my dad was working, he would have a lot of meetings around noon. And so the time he would end up like eating lunch would be at like 3 in the afternoon. And the last time he would have eaten was like really early in the morning. And so I started making lunches. And so I decided to pack some for my mom as well. So I just started making my parents breakfast and lunch during quarantine period and spring break. It's gotten a little less frequent now. It's been a little while since I've done it. Because it's been a little while because school's gotten a little bit more demanding since then.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So I have 6 balls of cookie dough right here. And something I highly suggest doing is straightening out your parchment paper so there aren't any crinkles around the cookies, because the cookies don't weigh enough to push them back. So you'll have kind of deformed cookies, which I mean, it's fine. They'll still taste okay. But if you want pretty cookies, I would make sure that there's no crinkles that'll ruin the shape.
Nice tip.
And
That's
then
awesome.
I'm going to put these in at 350 for 8 minutes. And hold on. So what I do is I throw them in for 8 minutes and I let them bake for 8 minutes, and then I take them out and I rotate them again because hotter, and then I bake them for another 8. So they go for a total of 16. And then after 16 minutes has passed, you get these. Magic.
TV. Yay! Those look delicious. Can you hold them up to the camera? Let's see.
I just dropped one. Let's not break them. But yeah, here are my oatmeal raisin cookies.
Oh, yay! Those are so awesome. All right, so now you're going to pack them up and take them to Jordan?
These are for my dad. This one's going to be for Jordan.
Oh,
so
okay.
I'm going to run into the other room and give him one of these.
Yeah, go run. All right.
I think I can hear him lurking in the office waiting for one. So
tell him to come here and say hi to everybody.
Hey, Dad, do you want to come in and say hi?
Tell him he has to do a test.
Oh, gosh.
Tell him to come and test them out and let us know what they taste like.
Let me know. I need someone to taste test my cookie.
Oh, easy.
He says easy. It's your pecanless ones. Here you go.
Yay. Well, hello. Here.
You're in the front of the camera. Usually Brian's in the back with Element Youth running things. So now he's going to be our taste tester.
How are they?
They're phenomenal.
Woo! Awesome.
We're both normally in the back, so this is a little bit new. We are both on the production team, so
Yeah.
we are really used to being on the
Now
camera.
you guys are in front of the camera. That's awesome.
Go ahead, get him out of here.
He's like, I'll take these to my office. I will be in my office for a while. Oh, Hope, that was amazing. You did awesome. I'm so glad that you came and joined us for this. I can't wait to test those out and taste them. Kennedy did say, I think she's going to have too many batches of cookies and might need to make more deliveries.
I have a feeling after that little, I guess, advertisement I kind of put out,
Yeah.
I'm going to get a lot more requests.
Exactly. You might get some requests. I think so. All right. Well, beautiful Hope. I am so glad that you came and joined us for quarantine cooking, and I think that you did an amazing job. So you have a great day, and tell Mom and Dad we said thanks for letting us come into the kitchen.
100%. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.